For years, Fast and Loud was the crown jewel of Discovery Channel, a mix of roaring engines, big Texas personalities, and even bigger paydays. But behind the grease, grins, and gas monkey bravado was a darker reality the cameras weren't supposed to catch. Every episode promised fast cars and faster deals. But what happened when the cameras stopped rolling? That's the part Discovery never wanted you to see. There were shouting matches that had to be cut, cars that mysteriously vanished mid-build, and a deal so disastrous it nearly shut down production for good. Even the most loyal fans had no idea how close Richard Rawlings' empire came to imploding, or how many secrets were quietly buried in Discovery's editing room. One producer later called it organized chaos, where every argument, every broken promise, and every bad deal had to be polished into a family-friendly hour of television. But sometimes, not even Hollywood could fix the truth. Tonight, we're uncovering the 5 times Gas Monkey Garage went too far for TV. From stolen builds and backroom feuds, to scenes so wild Discovery pulled them before they ever aired. These weren't scripted blow-ups or staged drama. These were real moments that nearly tore the garage apart. And it all starts with a deal that nearly cost Richard Rawlings everything. A negotiation so explosive, Discovery buried it under 3 different edits before it was gone forever. Every great empire starts with one bad gamble. And for Richard Rawlings, that gamble almost took down Fast and Loud. It began as one of those episodes built for ratings gold. High stakes, rare metal, and just enough ego to keep the tension electric. The car was a crown jewel, a 1968 Shelby Mustang GT 500, the kind of American muscle that made collectors sweat. Discovery hyped the episode months in advance, teasing Rawlings' biggest buy ever. Cameras rolled as Richard swaggered into a dusty Texas warehouse to meet the owner, an old-school collector named Wayne, known for his temper and his obsession with authenticity. On camera, everything looked smooth. Richard flashed the charm, cracked a joke, and threw out a number that made Wayne raise an eyebrow. They shook hands, and the crew cheered. But when the cameras stopped, the deal began to unravel, fast. According to insiders, Discovery's producers had quietly pushed Rawlings to play up the tension, even suggesting he lowball Wayne to make better TV. The idea was to create friction, drama, something fans could buzz about. But what they didn't expect was how far Rawlings would take it. After the cameras wrapped, paperwork got messy. A set of rare Shelby parts, chrome trim, custom heads, and a factory steering wheel reportedly disappeared from the warehouse, allegedly taken by a third-party transporter tied to the show. The next day, Wayne accused Gas Monkey Garage of walking away with thousands of dollars in parts without final payment. He threatened legal action, and the phone lines between Discovery and Rawlings lit up like a firestorm. Producers scrambled to contain it. The footage, originally slated for the mid-season premiere, was suddenly under review. Discovery's legal team demanded every frame be screened. Editors were told to strip out the confrontation. Entire sequences of shouting and accusations were deleted. "We had to recut that thing 3 times," one post-production staffer later said. The first version looked like a lawsuit waiting to happen. In the final aired episode, fans saw only a smiling Richard shaking hands, the deal complete, and the Shelby rolling into the Gas Monkey shop like nothing had gone wrong. But behind the scenes, production halted for nearly a week. Crew members were told not to discuss it, and a gag order kept the details quiet. Even Aaron Kaufman reportedly refused to film that week, calling the whole mess bullshit business not hot rodding. The tension reached a boiling point when Discovery threatened to suspend filming unless the issue was settled privately. Rawlings eventually paid the seller an undisclosed settlement, though insiders say it was less about guilt and more about keeping the cameras rolling. The car was quietly flipped months later, never mentioned again on air. Fans wondered why the Shelby build disappeared from the show's lineup mid-season. This was why? What could have been a legendary episode became a buried scandal that nearly ended Fast and Loud altogether. In later interviews, Richard joked about bad deals and crazy sellers, but he never mentioned the one that forced Discovery to rewrite entire storylines. To the public, it was another flashy gas monkey episode. To the crew, it was the closest the show ever came to imploding. As one producer later admitted, that deal changed how we filmed everything after. No more open negotiations, no more loose talk. We learned the hard way that when real money's on the line, there's no room for television magic. It was supposed to be another gas monkey win, a symbol of Richard's unbeatable hustle. Instead, it became the ghost deal that haunted the garage for years. And as the dust settled from that chaos, something even worse was brewing. A theft inside the shop itself that Discovery fought to keep off-air at all costs. Because next, the car didn't just disappear from the deal. It vanished from the garage. If the Shelby deal nearly broke Gas Monkey's reputation, the next incident nearly broke the entire show. What started as a dream build for a loyal customer turned into one of the darkest chapters in the shop's history. A mystery that Discovery buried so deep, only fragments of it ever leaked out. The project was supposed to be simple, a frame-off restoration of a customer's prized 1932 Ford Hot Rod, the kind of car that meant everything to its owner. Sentimental value, family history, and tens of thousands invested. It had been dropped off months earlier, stripped down, and was halfway through paint and body when disaster struck. It happened late one night after the crew had gone home. According to insiders, the shop's alarms didn't trigger, possibly due to a malfunction or a code reset during renovations. By the time morning rolled around, the bay doors were wide open, and the hot rod was gone, vanished. The cameras caught only shadows on the corner of a security feed. Grainy, almost ghost-like shapes moving in the dark. When the team arrived that morning, chaos erupted. Richard stormed through the shop shouting, demanding answers. Discovery producers, caught completely off guard, rushed to contain the situation. They were in the middle of shooting an ongoing episode around that same car. It was supposed to be the big mid-season build. Without it, half the production schedule collapsed. Police were called. Insurance reps showed up. But behind the scenes, the tension was explosive. One version of events says the theft wasn't random, that someone who'd worked for the shop had access to the building and knew exactly where the keys and parts were kept. Another theory claimed it was a setup, a stunt gone wrong, meant to create reality TV drama that spiraled out of control. Discovery wanted nothing to do with either version. Within hours, executives sent a directive to halt all filming related to the missing car. The footage from that week, the discovery of the theft, Richard's furious outburst, and the police involvement, was classified as non-airable material. It never saw the light of day. Crew members who spoke later described it as one of the few times they saw Rawlings genuinely shaken. This wasn't just about money, it was about pride. He reportedly told producers, "We're supposed to look like the best shop in the world, and now we look like amateurs who can't even lock a door." The insurance company and the car's owner entered a brutal dispute that dragged on for months, with the show caught in the middle. Rumors swirled online that Discovery had intentionally staged the theft to boost ratings. But those who were there say the anger, the panic, and the silence afterward were all too real. The car was never recovered, and to this day, no one outside that circle knows where it went. Some say it was stripped and sold for parts within 48 hours. Others whisper it was hidden by someone close to the shop to avoid exposure. When Fast and Loud returned weeks later, fans noticed something strange. The previously teased Hot Rod restoration episode vanished from the season lineup. Instead, Discovery aired a filler episode, a random build shot in a hurry. with awkward continuity jumps and unexplained absences from certain crew members. It was the cover-up, hidden in plain sight. Behind closed doors, Discovery doubled its security protocols. New alarm systems, keycard access, mandatory after-hours sign-ins. But the damage was done. The morale in the garage had cracked, and whispers began to spread through the crew. If they can steal a car out of Gas Monkey, what else can disappear? The incident never made the headlines. No official police report was ever published, but insiders still call it the night Gas Monkey lost control. It wasn't just a car that vanished. It was trust. Trust in the system. Trust between the team, and trust between the show and its fans. But as Discovery tried to contain the fallout, another storm was already brewing. This one not from thieves or outsiders, but from inside the garage itself. Because when egos collide and tempers flare, even family can turn into enemies. Next up, the feud between Aaron Kaufman and Christy Brimberry that producers tried and failed to erase. By the time Fast and Loud hit its stride, the chemistry between Richard Rawlings, Aaron Kaufman, and Christy Brimberry was television lightning. The perfect mix of chaos, charisma, and car culture. But behind the scenes, that chemistry was volatile. And by season 5, the cracks were starting to show. Discovery's cameras captured the smiles, the high fives, the friendly banter. What they didn't capture, or rather, what they later deleted, were the shouting matches that nearly tore the team apart. It started small, scheduling disagreements, creative clashes, and the constant pressure of TV deadlines. Aaron, the meticulous craftsman, wanted more time for perfection. Christy, the operations manager, had one job: keep builds on schedule and keep Discovery happy. That combination, under the glare of lights and constant filming, became a ticking time bomb. Former crew members say the tension really exploded during a particularly stressful build. A high-profile project meant to debut at SEMA, the world's biggest custom car show. Discovery executives wanted a showstopper episode. Aaron wanted to build something timeless. Christy wanted to hit the deadline. Richard just wanted something that looked good on camera. The breaking point came late one night when cameras were still rolling. A disagreement over parts and budget turned into a verbal brawl between Aaron and Christy that froze the entire garage. Witnesses say Aaron accused her of running the shop like a spreadsheet, while Christy fired back that he was sabotaging the show by ignoring production schedules. Both of them were right, and both were furious. Producers let the argument play out for nearly 10 minutes, their cameras catching every insult, every flash of anger. Discovery executives later called it the most explosive footage we ever shot at Gas Monkey. But when the edit reached the network's legal department, it never made it past review. Too personal, too real, too damaging. What fans eventually saw was a sanitized version. A few tense looks, a few clipped sound bites, and a vague voiceover about creative differences. What they didn't see was the aftermath. Aaron walking off set, refusing to film for 2 days, and Christy reportedly threatening to quit unless Discovery stopped turning the shop into a circus. The fallout rippled through the crew. Lines were drawn. Some stood behind Aaron's artistic integrity, others behind Christy's professionalism. Richard, caught in the middle, tried to calm both sides, but the damage was irreversible. Discovery had built a hit show on controlled chaos. Now it had the real thing, and it was about to blow. When Aaron finally announced his departure from Fast and Loud in 2017, fans were told it was about new opportunities and creative growth. But insiders knew that wasn't the whole truth. Aaron didn't just leave, one producer later said. He escaped. And while Discovery quietly moved on, editing around his absence, Christy stayed, but with a new guard up. The show survived, but the heart of the garage never felt the same again. Still, Even as tensions cooled on camera, another spark was about to ignite. One that couldn't be smoothed over or re-edited. Because if Aaron's departure was about passion, the next controversy was about pure, unfiltered rage. Up next, the day Tom Smith's mouth nearly got the entire show shut down. Every garage has a wild card, and at Gas Monkey Garage, that was Tom Smith. Fans loved him for his offbeat humor and unfiltered honesty. But behind the scenes, that no-filter attitude was both his charm and his curse. Tom was an old-school mechanic in a made-for-TV world. And when deadlines clashed with pride, his words hit harder than a torque wrench to the jaw. The meltdown that Discovery buried happened midway through a stressful build. A high-dollar customer project running days behind schedule. The crew had been working 14-hour shifts for nearly a week. Tempers were short, parts were missing, and the cameras were everywhere. That combination was a recipe for disaster, and Tom Smith was about to serve it. The flashpoint came during a scene that was supposed to be routine. A final assembly sequence, with Tom leading the wiring and electrical. But as the cameras rolled, a miscommunication about a misplaced alternator sent everything spiraling. A producer off-camera reportedly asked Tom to recreate his frustration for a better take. A suggestion that, in hindsight, was a mistake. Tom exploded. What followed was 10 minutes of profanity so creative that Discovery's editors later said, "You couldn't even bleep it. There weren't enough bleeps in the world." He tore into the crew, the producers, and even Richard Rawlings himself, accusing the network of caring more about drama than the cars. "We're supposed to be building hot rods," he shouted, "not playing TV puppets." The tirade was raw, unfiltered, and, for the first time, honest. Crew members froze. Cameras kept rolling as Tom kicked over a tool cart, ripped off his Gas Monkey shirt, and stormed out the bay doors. Discovery's on-site producer, reportedly shaken, immediately called a halt to filming. The footage was locked away, labeled unusable, internal only. Rumors later circulated that Richard tried to calm Tom down privately, knowing how valuable he was to the show's dynamic. But the damage was done. Tom's outburst had crossed from entertaining chaos into corporate liability. Discovery's executives in Los Angeles reviewed the footage and issued a blunt verdict. It would never air, not even edited. It was deemed unfit for broadcast on any platform. The crew jokingly called it the Garage Meltdown, a story whispered in corners but never confirmed publicly. What fans eventually saw was a heavily reshot version of the episode, pieced together with staged dialogue and filler scenes. Tom appeared briefly, quieter, clearly post-blow-up. The energy gone. Within a few months, his contract quietly expired. Officially, it was creative differences. Unofficially, everyone knew that the network had lost patience with its most unpredictable mechanic. Tom himself would later poke fun at the situation in interviews, saying, "They wanted reality, so I gave them reality. They just weren't ready for it." Behind closed doors, Discovery tightened control. More supervision, stricter language policies, mandatory cool-off breaks during filming. The days of unfiltered Gas Monkey chaos were over, or so they thought, because the next controversy wouldn't be about yelling, money, or stolen cars. It would be about something completely different. Something Discovery couldn't just bleep or reshoot. The next scene crossed a very different kind of line. One that involved Christy Brimberry, a swimsuit, and a moment that never saw daylight. By the time this final controversy unfolded, Fast and Loud was already a full-blown TV empire. Ratings were soaring, merchandise was flying off the shelves, and Discovery executives were pushing for bigger, flashier moments to keep viewers hooked. Somewhere in that mix of ambition and chaos came an idea. A fun, summer-themed episode to lighten the tone after months of high-stress builds, and behind-the-scenes drama. What was meant to be a harmless promotional shoot would turn into the most infamous moment Discovery ever buried. The setup sounded innocent enough. A charity car show at a Texas lakefront, a few custom convertibles, and the gas monkey crew cutting loose in the sun. Cameras rolled, engines roared, and the mood was playful. But when producers decided to film a lighthearted promo scene featuring Christy, the no-nonsense office manager and unexpected fan favorite, they had no idea the backlash that was about to erupt. According to multiple insiders, the plan was simple. Christy would appear in a branded gas monkey swimsuit for a quick segment promoting the event's charity auction. Nothing salacious, just the same kind of marketing image any car show might use. But as cameras rolled, Discovery's on-set team began over-directing the moment. Different camera angles, slow-motion shots, and music cues were added, turning what was supposed to be a fun 30-second clip into something much more stylized. When the rough cut hit Discovery's editorial department, alarm bells rang instantly. The tone didn't match the show's family-friendly branding. Executives reportedly called it too suggestive for a primetime slot, and the footage was pulled from the editing queue within hours. One senior producer later admitted it wasn't inappropriate by normal standards, but for Fast and Loud, crossed a line we couldn't risk on national TV. The decision caused chaos in post-production. The episode had already been promoted. Teaser trailers hinted at a beach day with Christy, and fans were expecting something fun and lighthearted. Now Discovery had to re-edit the entire storyline without the central footage. Internally, it became known as the missing Christy scene. Editors were ordered to remove all traces of the swimsuit promo. No references, no behind-the-scenes clips, nothing that might spark rumors. But the internet noticed. Early preview stills, accidentally released to affiliate networks, began circulating on fan forums. Screenshots of Christy in the gas monkey swimsuit appeared briefly before being pulled down, fueling speculation that Discovery had censored something too hot for TV. The narrative took on a life of its own. Some fans accused the network of overreacting, while others defended the decision, arguing it disrespected the tone of the show. Inside the shop, it became a running joke. Crew members teased Christy about being banned by Discovery, while Richard Rawlings laughed it off in interviews, calling it the most expensive. 30 seconds of footage we never aired. Still, not everyone found it funny. Christy reportedly felt frustrated, not by the filming itself, but by how the situation was handled. She'd done nothing wrong. Yet suddenly, she was at the center of a PR storm she didn't create. Discovery, determined to bury the incident, scrubbed all mentions of it from official archives. Even years later, the raw footage remains sealed, unseen, unreleased, and unacknowledged. But among longtime fans and ex-crew members, it remains one of the most talked about lost scenes in reality TV history. In the end, the swimsuit scene became symbolic. Not of scandal, but of how far Fast and Loud had drifted from its roots. What started as a raw, authentic show about gearheads building cars had turned into a tightly controlled TV product, polished to perfection and stripped of its wild edge. From shady deals and stolen cars to feuds, meltdowns, and forbidden footage, Gas Monkey Garage didn't just push limits. It burned right through them. And though Discovery kept the cameras rolling, these moments remind us that what fans saw on screen was only half the story. Because behind every revved engine and smiling face was chaos Discovery couldn't air.